Welcome to TecHype. I'm your host, Brandie Nonnecke. Today, we're digging deep into an issue that affects us all: the role of emerging technologies, especially artificial intelligence, in reshaping the very foundation of our economy, our society, and even our democracy. Whether you're feeling excitement or a twinge of anxiety, one thing is true: AI and emerging technologies are increasingly going to influence the way you live, work, and connect with each other. From the way you receive information online to the number of jobs that will be created and lost, AI is going to be integrated directly into your life. But how do we make sure these advancements actually benefit everyone? How do we ensure they do not destabilize but reinforce our democratic values? These are questions not only for the elite within tech circles, but these are questions that affect you. We're honored to feature two guests today who have been on the front lines of these issues: Robert Reich, former U.S. Secretary of Labor, and Janet Napolitano, the former Secretary of Homeland Security.
As the nation prepares for a pivotal election year, America finds itself at a crossroads that is at once familiar and newly daunting. For decades, we've grappled with the convergence of economic power and democratic ideals, a central theme in the work of Robert Reich, former U.S. Secretary of Labor, and a prominent advocate for economic equity. Reich warns that the 2024 election is not merely about party preferences or ideological divides. Rather, it's about the very future of American democracy. He argues that with income inequality reaching unprecedented heights and corporations wielding immense influence, the institutions meant to represent the will of the people are being co-opted to serve the wealthy elite instead. Reich sees this as a moment of reckoning. Can democracy survive in a society where political and economic power rests increasingly in the hands of a select few? To grasp the gravity of this situation, Reich encourages a deep dive into the root causes of economic inequality. Let's start with the big picture. Right now, we're in an era of exponential technological advancement. Tools like artificial intelligence, deep learning, and the algorithms running on social media platforms are reshaping our information landscape. But this powerful technology has a dark side. It can be harnessed to manipulate, distort, and control the flow of information in ways we've never seen before. And that manipulation isn't just an inconvenience, it's a direct threat to democracy. Why? Because for democracy to work, we need an informed public, citizens who have access to reliable information and can make educated decisions based on what's true. When people are bombarded with disinformation, content that's not just misleading, but intentionally deceptive, this erodes our ability to separate fact from fiction. Consider, for example, how AI-generated content can create hyper-realistic deepfakes, videos or audio clips, where someone appears to say or do something they never did. These deepfakes make it harder to trust even video evidence, traditionally a cornerstone of reliable news. When trust in these foundational sources breaks down, so does trust in democratic processes and public institutions. That's why understanding these threats isn't optional. It's essential if we want to safeguard democracy.
With rapid advances in AI and emerging technologies and social media platforms, there is a significant concern that these technologies could destabilize our democracy. What do you think are the most pressing challenges that emerging technologies pose to the integrity of our democratic institutions?
Well, the biggest problem right now is the weaponization of disinformation. And that would be a huge problem anyway. But if you get social media and technology providing all sorts of ways of fooling people into thinking that lies are the truth and weaponizing those lies, then it's very, very difficult for the public to do anything about it. I mean, a democracy depends on an informed public. Our only two responses are, number one, making sure that every social media outlet and every technology that's being used has in it some corrective feature, some moderation feature that makes sure that the lies are not there or somehow screened out. And secondly, that people are trained in critical thinking so that they don't subject themselves, so they're not vulnerable to these sorts of lies.
Exactly. But it's not only presenting a lie as truth, but it can also be presenting truth as a lie.
Exactly.
Right? And then we get to this problem with the liar's dividend, where there's no discernible truth. Everything is a lie.
And that's exactly what Orwell was warning us about in his 1984 novel, which really was about the end of democracy, was about authoritarianism. How do authoritarians persuade the public? Well, they take lies and they turn them into truth. They take truth and turn them into lies.
And here we are, 40 years later, we're seeing it happen right before us.
Well, it's fairly frightening because I've been involved in education and public education for the last 45 years. And I've never seen anything like this in terms of a threat to democracy and a threat to public education, and broadly conceived.